Okay, so I've been playing a bit of F1 with my friend and we thought to give the Coop Career a try. Please note I'm far from an F1 racing expert, so forgive me if some terminology is incorrect along with the questionable driving skills. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to record the first part of this, apologies for that, but to summarise, it was a strong 1-2 podium finish for Bahrain, so things were looking up. The second race was set for Saudi Arabia, so we made sure to take full advantage of the practice sessions available before qualifying. One practice session was already completed, so it was time for the second practice. We chose the Williams racing team, no particular reason. To be honest, it was actually quite random, but also it gives us a bit of a challenge since it's typically an underperforming car, at least when you compare it to the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull, etc. After some discussion on the topic of vehicle management, research and development, it was time to run practice 2. Let's see how this went. Okay, so practice 2 was actually taking place at night time. I didn't go out straight away, I think I was just yapping at this point, but also deciding what car setup I was going to go with. I wanted to try out maximum downforce since there are quite a lot of corners on this track. I think there was one segment I was struggling with as well, and thought the extra cornering ability would help. Balanced is always the way for me, but since it's practice, it doesn't hurt to test new things out. Just to note, we did increase the difficulty and reduce traction control to accommodate for another added challenge, so if you see me slipping and sliding a little bit, that's why. And whilst we're here, this is the corner you'll see me struggling with the most, pretty early in the first sector. I know you can maintain a decent speed all the way through here, but I'm always hesitant to do so. I feel like I'll crash out, but I hope to try and get the hang of it before qualifying. I eventually got around to doing my first lap, and you can see the problem I have with the next few bends. I always go out wide, which ruins the flow. I think on the initial first corner I need to be on the inside as much as possible to stay within the racing line and as a result stay on track. It ended with a 133.9, which wasn't too bad I guess. I actually dinged the wall a few times in the second sector, which didn't help either. I believe Lewis Hamilton holds the fastest lap record of 130.7, so I'm pretty much 4 seconds off and got a lot of catching up to do. Back in the pits, I took a look at the standings. Williams were currently sitting 1 and 2 for laps, me having the strongest first sector and my friend having the strongest third sector, and Hamilton holding up the strongest middle sector. Having a look, I knew what I had to work on. Given the maximum downforce, I was losing a lot of time on the straights, which explains the slower times for S2 and S3, along with the sloppy corners. So I changed back to preset 2 for reduced cornering ability, but a little more speed, and then went out again for another run. Even with this preset adjustment, I actually managed to stay on track for most of the corner I was having trouble with here, but the exit was a little messy, just like the rest of this practice. No real improvement towards the end, couldn't beat the 33.9, so here's the final standings for practice 2. Not too bad for medium tyres especially, but let's see how practice 3 went. For practice 3, I'm not sure what I was thinking here. I ended up damaging my front wing. I must have let go of my controller for a split second or something, but I had to go back to the pits and replace it. Whilst waiting for the repair time, I changed back to the balance preset and watched my friend for a bit. I think he put in a 132.7, so things were getting better on his end. Coming back out, my first proper lap of practice 2 wasn't the best, 133.0, almost a whole second quicker than last time, but I was on soft tyres, so it can and should be way faster. Second time's the charm, and due to me faffing about with Stroll, I damaged my wing yet again. I even damaged the other after attempting to be an owl for 1 second, so yeah, at this rate the pit crew are getting more practice than me. Back in the pits, I checked the standings and my first and second sector were good, still lacking in the third sector. Leclerc out of nowhere kicked our asses on the third sector, so it was time to go again. A few attempts later, there was still no improvement, so I headed back to the pits. My friend also ended up coming with me because he lost his whole front wing. I'm not sure how that happened. I myself was having a rough time completing my lap, so I changed back to preset 2 instead of balanced, put on fresh soft tyres and went again. There wasn't a lot of time left, so I had one more chance to try and get a decent run. very last minute, but I managed to squeeze in one more lap and it was my best one yet. 1:31.4, not bad and just under a second short of Hamilton's record. A strong 1-2 for Williams, but we're not out of the woods yet, so it was time to qualify. I headed out early so the track could be as clear as possible. Seems like everyone else had that idea though, but I began my qualification lap regardless.
Who'd like to see the lap? Yeah. Play the tape, here we go.
And there we go, 1:31.5, a solid lap, 1/10 slower compared to practice, but I'm happy with it. I'd just taken the top spot from my friend who hit a 1:32.1, and although it was far from over, we both started hitting the walls again, hence the caution warning. Despite that, I think we were both happy with our time, so we just sat in the pits and waited to see if anyone could beat it. The third sector's been messing me up this whole session. I never really got the hang of it, although with the downforce preset I'm bound to lose speed on the final straights anyway, which I think is the problem. Nonetheless, I was able to get a decent time and land me the pole position at the end of qualifying. Like with Bahrain, this was another 1-2 front grid lockout for Williams. We were both feeling confident, so let's see how the race went. We began with a quick warm up of the tyres, a reforming of the grid ever so carefully. Time to skr.
Oh no.
Well, there we have it. I think this is my biggest fumble in racing history. You can even see the tears in my teammates' eyes at how bad that first corner was. I literally pulled a Jeremy Clarkson.
I am now boldly going where no American has been before.
But the show must go on. I entrusted my friend to bring it home for us, so let's see how he did. And due to my unforeseen demise, the safety car was out for 3 laps. On lap 4 it went back in, so my teammates started to pull away from the rest of the pack. At around lap 7, my friend had left a 5-second gap. He was doing very well, almost halfway there. He still had to pit though, so it would be interesting to see how he fares at that point. There was a caution warning between sectors 2 and 3. I'm not entirely sure what this was due to. My teammate actually went a bit wide on one of the corners here, which I think lost him some time. It didn't seem like he hit anything though, so there could have been some issues back down the track. Hamilton and Verstappen were fighting it out for second position. This was a good dogfight happening here. In fact, positions 2 to 6 were all relatively close, so they were definitely giving the fans a show. At this point, I was scrolling down the races to see what this caution was about, and it appears Ocon was out of the race. I wasn't fast enough to see why, but it seemed like something happened between him and Ricciardo, which led to his DNF. At lap 9, about 2/3 of racers started pitting. My friend went with the medium tyres, which would take him to the end of the race. He would come out at 8th place, but because the others haven't pitted, he should be able to get first position back. Giving Ricciardo the pressure, he eventually managed to overtake him, cutting it close on the inside, but that's one step closer. On lap 10, the remaining racers pitted and my teammate got first position back, with a 10-second lead, so the win was in sight.
But before I go, I just want to get this off my chest. That shit was not my fault. Y'all are trash. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Y'all are trash. Like, y'all are so trash. I want you to know that I'm talking to you, so I'm going to say your name. Then I'm gonna call you trash.
Yep, that slight collision with the wall was enough to cause wing damage. This resulted in poor turning ability and the gap started to close, quite rapidly as well, so my friend pitted the next lap. The inevitable was happening and unfortunately my friend came out of the pits in dead last, and everything went downhill from here. In a last ditch effort, he made some aggressive plays to overtake as many racers as he could, especially since he was on soft tyres, but this tactic was short-lived as he was T-boned and had to start again. A few moments later, he managed to overtake Magnussen and Ricciardo, then pulled a questionable overtake on Stroll.
Fucking idiot!
Bro pulled a Chick Hicks. I think at this point, all racing etiquette went out the window and we wanted this race to be over. I mean, look at this, I think my teammate's fed up by now. But there we have it, Verstappen takes the win. It's a 1-2 finish for Red Bull. I DNF'd and my friend finished 14th. What a turn of events. But despite how annoyed we were at the time, watching this back was kinda funny. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Dre, take care and see you next time.